Smith last week against Catalan Dragons forces changes in this Celtic Crusaders side. Damien Quinn is at full-back. Then it's Luke Dyer, Josh Hannay, Mark Delacourt, Anthony Blackwood, Mark Lennon, who moves into the standoff role, and Jace Van Dijk. In the forwards, Ryan O'Hara, Lincoln Withers, Mark Bryant, Chris Beasley, Jordan James, and Jason Chan. And on the bench, a return for Adam Peake after a 3-game absence. Darren Mapp, David Tangata Toa, and Neil Budworth, and the coaches John Dixon. Now the Wakefield Trinity Wildcats side, much changed from that which performed against Huddersfield, performed so ineptly, in the words of their coach. 6 players paying the price for that performance, and in their place, John Keir making bags of changes. Matt Blaymire remains at full-back. Scott Griggs is moved to the wing. Tony Martin and Ryan Atkins in the centres. Matt Peterson returns. Jamie Rooney and Danny Brough are reunited for the first time this season in the half-backs. Brough returning after 2 games out for an internal suspension. And in the forwards, Ricky Bybee, Sam Obst, Oliver Wilkes, Steve Snitch, Dale Ferguson and Jason Demetriou. And on the bench, Brad Drew, James Stozic, Tavita Leolatu, and Michael Korkidas, who returns to Wakefield after a 3-year absence. Danny Sculthorpe going in the opposite way to the Huddersfield Giants, and the coach is John Keir. So Brough, Drew, Korkidas, Ferguson, Wilkes and Peterson return. And out go Gleeson, George, Moore, Pitts, Henderson and Bibb as John Keir wields the axe for the Wakefield Trinity Wildcats this evening. A beautiful evening, of course, as it is across the country, and here in Bridgend, the supporters enjoying the sunshine. Many of them have probably been on the beach at the Gower. And who needs Mediterranean sunshine in conditions like this? It really is, and it's still beautifully warm out there. Must have been mid-20s, I would guess, still, and hardly a breath of air around the ground as well. So it is, I think, going to be hot work for these 2 teams out there still at this time of the evening. Wakefield, I'm sure, are going to be fired up because their coach, John Keir, Steve-O, described that performance against Huddersfield last week as inept, and I think that was his public description of it. It was a lot worse behind closed doors.
I think you're right, Bill, and I think that Keir, the coach, would have made sure that the players got it right in their brain box during this week, that in hot conditions like this, it's who really wants to take control in the opening 15 minutes, and Wakefield certainly need to shake themselves up. I think the return of Danny Brough is very, very important for the coach, John Keir. Okay, disciplinary reasons was the reason why he's left out last week. But John Dixon, he'll be ruining the fact that he's without the big playmaker, Matty Smith. Bit of a gamble in bringing into the standoff position Mark Lennon. I was impressed last week with Damien Quinn, who will start the game at full-back, but don't be surprised if Dixon, the coach, brings in Damien Quinn as first or second receiver. Is a talent.
You know what, over the course of the first half of this season, Wakefield have done 3 impressions. They've looked like a side that can finish in the top 4. At times they're playing games and appear like a mid-table side, competitive with many others. And then there are occasions, there are games that they play when they appear to be in the wrong division. They almost should be playing in the league below this one at Super League. The task now, having had one of their worst performances ever, and obviously the heaviest defeat in Super League last week against Huddersfield, is to refine the form that they had at the start of the season. They've got a strong back row as Jason Demetriou leads them out tonight, and one would think that Snitch, Ferguson and Demetriou, the back 3 players in the squad forwards for Wakefield, will be strong enough to steer Wakefield to victory.
Yes, their season really has gone off the rails, Wakefield. They won 7 of the opening 10 games, but they are on this losing sequence in Cup and League of 5 games. And what's more, their defence hasn't been that clever. They have conceded an average of 35 points a game during this losing run, so there is some repair work to be done. They do like a bit of noise here at the Celtic Crusaders. The PA goes up to 11, and I'm sure they've got the loudest fireworks in the competition as well. And Jace Van Dijk there, the Crusaders captain, will be looking to steer his side round the field. And this, of course, was the round 6 fixture, which was postponed from March the 22nd. And that, of course, was a fateful day for the Wakefield club. The day that young Leon Walker died while playing for the Wakefield reserves against Celtic at Maesteg, just up the road that day. And he will be remembered here this evening, and so will Leon's granddad, because in one of those bitter twists of fate, today is the anniversary of the death of Leon's grandfather, David Walker, the former Leeds player. So Leon and his grandfather remembered here this evening. And what better way is there to remember Leon Walker and to do his memory proud than for Wakefield to end their losing sequence here. Ben Thaler, the referee in charge of this game. Thierry Alibert, the video ref. And it'll be Wakefield to get things underway. A sombre start to the evening. And a sombre evening, of course, for the family of Leon Walker. For his parents, Donna and Steve. But they would love to see this Wakefield side really do their son justice, and I'm sure that is what they'll be up to doing, to deny the Celtic Crusaders this first home win of the campaign. That is the incentive for Celtic, and it'll be interesting to see how this Wakefield side responds to these wholesale changes that the coach John Keir has made. And he said during the week that if he'd had 17 players, fresh players, it would have been the entire 17. They were so poor last week.
And rightly so. You know, John Keir is a type of coach that doesn't mess around and gets the message across to his players. You mentioned, Bill, in regards to the fact that their defence has been pretty poor over the last few weeks, that have been working in that department, and the message has been to say to them they've got to do it for themselves.
Well, their defence might not be so fiercely tested, although that kick will Blaymire was bamboozled by the bounce there, because they're up against one of the sides with the least tries in the competition. In fact, the fewest tries in the competition, 37 in 13 games from the Celtic Crusaders, so they really have struggled to get across the whitewash.
But not a bad option. You can see the lengthening shadows there, so the sun is right in the faces of this Wakefield side when they kick right into the corner.
Wakefield in possession, and there's Rooney with the kick.
It's a poor one too.
Rooney still finding his way back into form. Of course, he missed much of the start of the season. John Dixon just hoping that his side can not let things slip as they did against Catalan last week.
There can be a temptation when the sun shines and we think we're in British summertime for players to pass the ball more, you know, almost as if playing more rugby, finding more passes. But it's a real test of your skill, because in these conditions, the one thing you do need to have is possession. They've lost it here with a forward pass.
Basic error, and that's been the problem throughout this season for the newcomers. Celtic Crusaders, just a lack of concentration there. Mark Bryant really should have held on to it. Could see that Delacourt was about a half a metre in front, so more pressure.
Is it forward, Steve? Oh, I'm not sure that pass was forward, but anyway. They're very big in the middle, Celtic. They've gone with a big, strong pass. Bryant's a top front row, so is O'Hara. And Jordan James is in the second row, not for the first time this season, but Celtic must feel that they've got to win that forward battle in the middle of the park.
Bybee plays the ball, and Wilkes has gone without it. So an error apiece early on here.
Well, he tried to take that flat pass, or did he perhaps think he was going to be the dummy runner? Total confusion there, Wilkes. Didn't appear to me as though he had the arms up to take it. Disappointment for John Keir.
John Keir there. John Keir, rather, will be looking for a big improvement. Oliver Wilkes, one of the players coming back, so missed the Giants' defeat. So Celtic have the ball back on the halfway line. Delacourt trying to get to his feet and looking at referee Ben Thalen saying, come on. There's Wilkes in with the tackle. Samop's there as well. Turning Bryant over. Lincoln Withers. Dimitriou brings him down. 4 tackles gone as they cross the 40-metre line in the Wakefield half, and then Jace van Dijk puts the kick in. Off goes Beasley on the chase. Blackwood there to put pressure on Blaymire. Blaymire goes to ground.
Good kick and chase, but Blaymire did the right thing. Didn't try to stand up and struggle where they could have the possibility of just launching him back into this in-goal area. Going to be an important tactic from Jace van Dijk. His kicking game is so crucial to this Celtic outfit. That's a great chase.
Here is Bybee. He's tackled on that 20-metre line.
That's 5.
That's the 5th tackle. Struggling to make ground.
40.
As Brough puts the kick in. Was inside the 40, but failed to find a touch. And Celtic have possession back. Danny Brough, of course, suspended by the club for a breach of internal discipline. They missed him last week.
That is a very strong carry from Luke Dyer. He's one of the strong wingers, really, at that part of the game. Making meters in the middle of the field. Key part here. And Celtic have started this game very positively. They contained the Wakefield side when they had 5 tackles. And again, there's a real good buzz about the Crusaders here tonight.
Well, they've come close at home, have the Celtic Crusaders. They're close against the Catalans last week. They got back to win a try and a goal against Catalan and then blew it late on. They've been in a strong position before. They led Castleford 22-12 with about 20 minutes to go and lost that one. But they just can't get over the finishing line at home. Wakefield will be hoping to extend that as Van Dijk hoists the kick into the evening sun. Grix comes across, but well positioned to take that. Sun actually at his back.
Tackle 1. Move! Set!
And that will be a penalty.
When he's come back round,
Beasley just wanted another nibble there.
It's a problem that John Dixon, the coach of Celtic, has in his first season, of course, in Super League, is a lack of experience and sort of just using a bit of common sense. Good kick and chase, and then you can see just rolling all over the top. Then Beasley has a second bite at him.
You don't have to work your way around. Go, well done. 1.
Ferguson.
Move! Wait! Go.
There is John Dixon. He and John Keir, the senior coaches in Super League, both in their 50s, and share another distinguishing feature at the moment. Both the only bearded coaches in Super League. No, John Keir, I think, is getting quite attached to his. Slightly piratical look about him at the moment. All he needs is the golden earring, I think. His side on the attack, Blaymire.
I think it's settled for the 2 points for the win rather than the earring, Billy Boy. But I must say, I've been impressed with Wakefield. This is the first real opportunity.
Tony Martin now. Martin and Grix just had a foot in touch just as he put that kick in, I think.
5 lads, guys.
They ran it on the last.
Wait there, I tell you. There's ways to play the ball.
Good work by the touch.
Wait, Jason.
Shakes his head, does Grix, but he's spot on.
Jamie, stay out. Jamie. Rooney.
We've got John Keir that looks like a pirate, and we've got Scott Grix that looks like John McEnroe.
2. Movement! Stand up.
O'Hara gets to his feet to play that ball. Here's Bryant then, the
3.
2 front rowers doing the work for the Celtic Crusaders. Withers, and here's Jordan James now, and James taking on Ferguson. Ferguson stands his ground, so does Tony Martin.
Much better run as well by James, the second rower. Problem that they had last week, Celtic, was the fact that it took them a lot of time to get over the advantage line, but nice little work by Van Dijk.
Just couldn't get the pass away to Damien Quinn. Then Lennon puts the kick in down the middle of the field. Again, Blaymire is across, and here's Matt Peterson. Peterson restored to the side after a 2-game absence because of a rib injury.
Keep coming, Tony. You're okay.
Well, I'm sure that Celtic studied the video, and Huddersfield were able to split Wakefield around the middle of the field, around the mark of defenders last week. They've done that several times, and in fact, it's been a trait of the Crusaders for the last few years. They love the inside pass back from Van Dijk to a quicker player around the play of the ball. As you just see Wakefield here now, conversely catching the Crusaders. The markers weren't set, they weren't square.
Great work by Danny Brough. He knew exactly what he was doing. Could see that the two would-be markers not getting back the full 10.
So the penalty gives Wakefield territory. They're inside the Celtic half. Is Steve Snitch. Snitch in a great vein of form for the club. He's missed only one game this season. And he has been really in good, solid form for the side. And that ball is pounced on by Jordan James. Referee looks to the touch judge.
Well, he's classified as a knock-on.
He knock that out, Steve, or Jordan
Well, he
James?
said it's hard to say whether he went for the ball or the arm.
No, he's not the ball there.
I think he hit the arm.
He went for the arm.
It was a forearm.
Certainly looked that way. James looks perplexed. He's right. The referee's got it wrong. Or should I say the touch judge?
It was the touch judge who called that one. But now then, can Wakefield capitalise on that call? Tony Martin, been playing at standoff, but returns to his centre role, Martin. He's tackled and play continues with Wilkes, and Wilkes bustling his way forward for this Wakefield side. Obs for Jason Demetriou. Rooney floats a pass over the top on. It's going to come up for Atkins, and Atkins could capitalise on that, and he will. Well, what an outrageous bounce of luck that was for Wakefield. But Ryan Atkins read it right. Gets his 8th try of the season. The pass looping over everybody and almost snaffled by the Crusaders, but it was Atkins who got on the end of it, and it was the call that gave Wakefield possession, that head and feet at the scrum, and they have taken full advantage of maybe what was a very fortunate call.
Well, they had luck going their way, but there's nothing wrong with the fact that you've got to ride it. It was a shocking pass, bounced all over the place, and you could see that the Celtic defence just held off. Can't afford to do that. This is the incident. James was nominated as knocking on, and look at that, there's nothing that Dyer could have done. They're a little bit late to get there and respond to it. Atkins didn't. He'll take the first try of the game.
Ryan Atkins' first try since Easter Monday. His first in 6 games. So he's broken his duck, he's broken Wakefield's duck. And that pass really wrong-footed the Celtic Crusaders' defence. And Danny Brough looking to get back into the kicking groove. He's landed 40 already this season. He's landed 41 now. And Wakefield ahead by 6 points to 0. Atkins the scorer.
Well, there you can see to come out, Dyer has committed himself, half expecting that he could get to this football, but I'm afraid he couldn't. And the luck, take nothing away from the step, but the Celtic defence just did not react quickly enough to this guy.
Enjoyed that.
You know, if Wakefield want to finish this season in the top half of the table, I think they need to find ways to get the ball to Ryan Atkins more often. There are times in a game when he doesn't get possession, apart from maybe a run from dummy half where he's trying to make meters. There isn't a lot of star quality in the Wakefield side, a lot of heavy workers. Atkins is a potential match winner with his speed and strength if they can get the ball to him in enough opportunities.
Here's Scott Griggs. Now Wilkes. Wilkes tackled on the 40-metre line. Obst for Bybee, and Demetriou took that one up around his right ear.
Just had a little look at the defence coming to him.
He had a look at Ricky Bybee as well after that one went to ground.
Had him all lined up. You could see that Josh Hannay, the big centre.
Do you know, I don't think he's fit, Jason Demetriou. I watched him warm up, he looks very ginger. Very sore. Often plays in Super League and Rugby League in general, asked to play when they're less than fit, and we're very harsh to judge them when they drop passes and miss tackles.
Good work from Jason Chan. Well, Jason Demetriou takes a bit of persuading to miss a game. He's been ever present this season, and this is his 149th Wakefield appearance. He really isn't one to give up a game lightly. Here's O'Hara as Celtic look to hit back immediately. Withers, here's Chase Van Dyke. Lennon now. Lennon, quick hands.
No, no.
Damien Quinn.
4.
Wakefield felt that pass was forward.
Wait.
Did well to catch it, didn't he, the fullback Quinn?
Dalcourt now. Did well to take that one.
Good work
Quick
by
hands from
Peterson.
Celtic. Jace Van Dijk on the last now, and he hoists the kick across the field. Tony Martin comes for it, and it's Martin who gets it. But he's also got a whole posse of Celtic defenders right on top of him.
Well, Martin finished up with the football, but he didn't take it cleanly on the full. You see it was touched by Rooney, so therefore it's not a diffuse of the bomb, so that it's a dropout. So the Celtic will be in a pretty good position now. Interesting to see, as I said earlier before the game kicked off, Mark Lennon standoff, his combination with Van Dijk. Will it gel? We'll soon find out.
It's Celtic who are squinting into the sunlight as Lennon took that one. Gives it to Bryant, and Bryant runs it back at Steve Snitch. Snitch and Atkins make the tackle. Here's Mark Dalcourt now. 2 tackles gone. Wakefield under pressure. Lennon for Josh Hannay. Hannay, Gricks all over him. Hannay's got the ball away. Picked up by Lennon. 3 tackles gone. Here's Jace Van Dijk for Jordan James. James gets the ball away. Oh,
He'd already called held.
he was calling held as Jordan James was in the process of offloading that ball.
Well, it's the second tough call against Jordan James. One here where he knocked the ball free. This time he's keeping the ball alive. Still a bit of movement. Tackle hadn't gone to ground. 2 tough calls against him in 15 minutes.
Clearly held was the verdict of referee Ben Thaler.
Well, he was the one that's shouting, and obviously James couldn't hear him. Bit of a let off there for Wakefield.
He's probably got that bandage too tight around his lug holes. So can Wakefield capitalise on that call as well? Tony Martin kicks ahead, but out on the full. Came off the outside of his boot. Martin grimaces in frustration at that.
And so does the coach, John Keir. Golden opportunity. Kicks out on the full. And I think that tells its own story. He's not in the running for a Christmas card, this fella, if he keeps doing that.
Well, it's going to be a pretty short Christmas card list from the coach at the moment.
Here we go. Stand out.
Here's Dalcourt, so good opportunity goes begging for Wakefield. Wakefield ahead by 6 points to 0. Here's Luke Dyer, isolated out there. Bruff trying to get a hand in as that ball was played. 3 tackles gone. Celtic in possession, just about 35 metres out. Jason Chan, try-scorer against the Celtic Crusaders last week. Bruff with the tackle. Chan slow to get to his feet. He's picked up a knock there as the PNG player. Here's Josh Hannay. Hannay comes inside Ferguson. And Wakefield doing well at the moment to diffuse the danger. Good defence. And that's the 5th tackle.
Wait. Go. Okay.
Dyke's involved in that. Van Dijk involved in that scrum. So it's the kick coming through from Damien Quinn.
Surrender.
Well dealt with at the back.
Good work by Blameyer. Been put under a lot of pressure, but he's handled everything that the Celtic side has thrown at them. John Dixon will be a little bit disappointed with the build-up to that. Quite a few of the players we saw when Van Dijk got the ball, he was stood still. Nobody running on that second phase. They've got to support.
Gricks almost through. Beasley just managing to get a hold of an ankle. Rooney trying to get away. Van Dijk clings onto him. The penalty awarded against Celtic as Jace Van Dijk was doing his best to slow things down.
Well, it's always a problem, isn't it? You do a good kick and chase, try to keep your opposition in their own half, and then they give away a silly penalty. That's 2 penalties that have just allowed Wakefield to get 30 and 40 metres down the field.
Wait. Go.
He has to get the message out, Dixon.
Move. Well done, Adam.
Ferguson plays the ball on the 40-metre line in the Celtic half. Ricky Bybee Bybee and Wilkes going shoulder to shoulder there to take on the Celtic defenders. Bybee actually had the ball. That through the hands, went back, says the referee, as it goes straight through the hands of Brough.
Play on! Stay out,
Brough
stay
now.
out.
Great offload.
Lehmeyer,
Okay, now.
Demetriou. They're finding ground pretty easy to come by at the moment.
Move.
Demetriou plays the ball.
Adam, come on. Okay.
Brough puts the kick in. Rooney chasing. Well dealt with by Damien Quinn. Very well dealt with.
Oh!
Not sure Josh Hannay was anticipating that.
Well, it was great work, wasn't it? Damien Quinn sidestepping out of the in-goal area and then for some unknown reason tried to offload.
Go.
Beasley took a smack round the side of the head as he took that ball up for Celtic Crusaders.
Well, they could do with a penalty here to get out of trouble. 3 tackles gone. That's been one of the problems. Unfortunately, referees haven't given them enough penalties this year. Their opponents haven't really seemed to err in the tackle count. When you consider Wakefield have been awarded twice as many penalties as the Celtic side at this point in the season, it makes a big difference.
But Celtic, Phil, as we both spotted, have been keeping things very tight, and sometimes when they're keeping it tight, they're specifically targeting one player. Sam Hobbs, the number 14 for Wakefield, has done 10 tackles in the opening 18 minutes. They're trying to get him. With him being a small defender, they think at some point they'll get over the top of him.
Well, Celtic not getting a lot of change out of this referee at the moment, appealing for a penalty in that last set of 6, but the kick comes in and Wakefield now have the opportunity to bring it back at them on their own 40-metre line.
Well, you talk about Sam Hobbs, the hooker out there for Wakefield, but it's wondering whether John Keir will throw out Brad Drew pretty shortly.
Peterson plays the ball. Here is Hobbs. Bybee springing his step as he took that ball. Jordan James with the tackle. Sam Hobbs, scampering run from him. Here's Dale Ferguson, the cornerstone of the Wakefield pack, according to his coach. Ferguson, one of the players back today. Rooney puts the kick in.
Sensible. Quick thinking. All right, he raises the arm and says, yeah, I was just thinking of the option, but play the percentages. The previous 2 kicks weren't all that good, but to send them right down into the corner, give your forwards a bit of a rest.
Okay. Yeah, guys.
They can force the error. And the defence has been pretty solid at this point in time, considering that it has been a problem for the Wildcats this year, especially just recently.
Celtic head and feet at the scrum then on their own 20-metre line.
Go. Yep.
2 tackles gone as Demetriou all over the place there. And Ben Thaler, in response to Celtic complaints, said, oh, he couldn't have done very much about that. As Bryant plays the ball. Here's Jace Van Dijk inside his own 40, puts the kick in. Grix back pedaling furiously.
Just short.
And it was just short from the Celtic player. So close, Jace Van Dijk.
It's amazing what a football can do. And I mean, this rugby football here, it looked for all the world it was going to go over, and then look how it just bounced straight back and then the wrong side of the marker.
But what it will do, it'll make Scott Grix think on tackle 3, 4 and 5. I've got to watch that 40-20.
Make sure, mate. Head in.
Well, John Dixon has made the changes.
Out.
Darren Mapp has come onto the field of play. I must say I was impressed with Mapp. He's been out for a while. Maybe he's not 100% fit, but he's certainly a tremendous ball player.
It was the Crusaders Player of the Year last year was Darren Mapp in their National League One campaign.
Go, well done.
Here is Atkins then, the try scorer. The only try of the game so far, and we've had 21 minutes of this postponed game from March the 22nd. Actually, round 6 game it was.
Well done.
And here's Jason Demetriou, the Wildcats captain.
Surrender. 5 stand. Wait.
That's the 5th tackle. And then Brough hoists that one. Just goes straight up in the air. And Peterson chasing, knocks it on.
Sorry.
And then Quinn had grabbed the ball, but the referee had already blown, and then he apologises.
Wait there.
Well, I must say that Peterson nearly got his 2 hands to that. If he had, he was really on the burst. He could have gone right through the defence there.
He did. He made the decision to let the Celtic player catch it, then he would tackle him. Then when the Celtic player didn't commit it, he realised that he could have caught it himself.
Tangata Toa plays the ball. Beasley. Rooney stands his ground. Dale Ferguson there to assist him.
Wait, go.
He's Lincoln Withers. And that pass goes behind them all, and that's going to be swooped on by Snitch. And Snitch has lost it. And Ben Thaler brings him back, says there's no advantage.
Boy, they were fortunate there. And again, pass going astray.
I'm giving advantage. No advantage there in the ball. So that should have been a penalty. I think that should have been a penalty to the ball field. Now, I couldn't exactly see having a scrum down there.
Celtic again disputing that call, and again the referee justifying his position.
Out!
Here's Ryan Atkins now.
And that's what I like to see, Bill. Give Ryan Atkins the ball inside your opponent's half of the field. That's the first time he's had it since scoring the try 13 minutes ago. I think the more they can get him involved, the better Wakefield's chances will be.
Applause from the Wakefield supporters as Michael Korkidas joins the fray. Just see him there, bottom of the picture, wearing number 23. Corky, the cry from the Wildcats fans, but it's Blaymeyer in possession. Blaymeyer, pass out the back door, picked up by Tony Martin. Rooney now. Rooney taking him on. Tackled by Tangata Toa. Right under those posts. Here's Brough. Brough for Snitch, but Snitch runs straight into a wall of Celtic defenders who are there waiting for him.
Go.
Brough. Korkidas, how he'd love to get over the try line on his return, and he has done on the field for only a matter of minutes. And what an inspired decision it was by the coach to bring Corky back to the club. He's come onto the field, and he's got his second Super League try of the season. First on his return for Wakefield. And it's like he's never been away, Michael Korkidas.
Sam.
Tremendous inside ball, this. Back on the inside. Sheer power and strength. Excellent play. That's the quality of Danny Brough and the knowledge that the big fella was coming. See how he came on the angle. Nothing that Delacourt could do there. Sheer power. No hesitation for Ben Thaler, the man with the whistle. And the Wakefield travellers, they chant out the name Corky, Corky. And it was a corker, back on the inside.
Well, if you look at all the parts that make up a rugby league performance, defending near your own try line is probably the most important, and it's where the Celtic side has struggled as Brough just puts 2 more points on the scoreboard. Their ability to defend the try line this season has been far inferior to all the other teams in this competition, and this is a perfect example, Mike.
Yeah, real good quality, but he's a talent, isn't he, Danny Brough? The amazing ability back on the inside, and there, look at the defence just hanging back. Some have moved up, others have stayed back. Delacourt, no chance. Big fella Corky over.
2 tries, both of them scored against Celtic Crusaders, and his first for Wakefield. His other try this season was scored for Huddersfield against the Celtic Crusaders up at Murrayfield in a big win there. So obviously got the scent of Crusader blood as Michael Korkidas. Here's Blaymeyer.
Keeping an eye on Matt Blaymeyer, Bill, because a lot of people talk about Sean Briscoe as a potential England fullback. He's another 26-year-old fullback who gets heavily involved in attack and defence, and you know, I think sometimes a lot of what he does goes unnoticed. Has an ability to cross the line. I think 23 tries in 60-odd appearances for Wakefield shows that he can support and put himself in the right place.
And he's a very tidy player, isn't he?
Just might not quite have the ability to stop tries when the opposition break through, but we'll watch his performance the rest of this game.
Rooney with the kick, and Griggs, great work from him, and Martin will go in the corner. No, he won't. He'll give it to Griggs with an audacious pass, and back-to-back tries for Wakefield, or is it? Because referee Thaler has asked Thierry Alibert to see where Griggs was when he flicked that ball back in field, because it looked as though he was heading for the sidelines, and he's also looking for offside, I think, as well, in the build-up to that, as Rooney put the kick in.
Well, he deserved a try. It was a wonderful kick. Got the bounce. Boom, look at this. Just shows you what can happen. Is he in front? Does he get the ball? No, he's done it right. His foot was back on the inside. It's pretty close to the mark, but when he touches it, he's lifted the foot. So that's okay. Back on side to Martin, but what about this? He knew he hadn't got the speed. One of the best passes you'll see for many, many a day.
Try.
Griggs to Martin, back to Griggs. This should be TRY.
And it is a try, according to video ref Thierry Alibert, and the handiwork of Griggs and Martin serving up another try for the Wakefield Trinity Wildcats. And last week's inept performance, inept the word of the coach, is rapidly being banished here. And the Wakefield supporters, and hats off, they've travelled in good numbers.
Amazing what a ball can do, but that is nothing short of sensational. Kick from Rooney. Should have been taken. Just messed around a bit there, Damien Quinn. But that, I could watch it all day, all night.
And while we were watching that, the successful conversion, another one from the returning Danny Brough, and Wakefield are ahead by 18 points to 0.
I watched Scott Griggs play standoff for Wakefield in the first game of this season at the JJB Stadium, and he was outstanding, carrying on from some good form in the World Cup where he played so well. Now, he's perhaps suffered a little bit by having to play on the wing. But I'll tell you what, wherever position you play, you still have the opportunity to chase kicks as hard as you possibly can. And he did that, which enabled himself and his team to score another try. Great effort to chase the kick as though your life depends on it.
A roar from the Wakefield fans as Korkidis charged onto that ball. They're glad to see him back. Was saying that really good turnout from the Wakefield fans who've made the journey for this game. And they're enjoying what they've seen so far. This is more like the Wildcats of the early season form, when they were among the leaders in the competition. That's the 5th tackle.
And sometimes, Bill, you just need that little stroke of luck just to set you on your way, and that's what they've had. Nothing away from the Celtics' defence. They tried their hardest, but it's going to be a pretty hard road for them to get back into it. They've got to get field position. The kick and chase on a couple of occasions has been okay, but John Keir, with a scoreline at 18-0, you can't help but be satisfied.
It's a pretty good response, isn't it, to the criticism they took last week. Ironic cheers from the Celtic supporters as they get their first penalty of the game from referee Thaler.
They're messing around, trying to get Blackwood over onto his back. I don't know why they do it. Ferguson the culprit.
This is the first meeting between Celtic and Wakefield, in fact, but the last trip for Wakefield to Wales was a very successful one. Millennium Magic last year, they hammered Castleford 54-16. So they'll be hoping that they can be as successful here this evening, and they're off to a good start. Half an hour, coming up to half an hour gone. They're leading by 18 points to 0. But Celtic was struggling against the Catalan Dragons last week, and they came back strongly against them. Couldn't quite get past them in the end, but they know how to come back.
Pretty good defence there by Tony Martin. Knew that the fullback Quinn was coming in back on the inside.
Here's Tangata Toa trying to find a way through, trying to look for an offload. Adam Peake was trying to get there to take it. That's the 5th tackle. Van Dijk, will he drill a kick in? He does, he fires it. Went backwards, and Atkins was alert to that because it must have come to him very quickly, and he had a player between him and the ball as well. So he did well to take that, but they'll get the goal line dropout.
Good effort by Van Dijk. Stabs it in hard. Bang. See what he can do with that. Went right between the legs of Danny Brough. He couldn't believe it. That's a good kick and chase. No way that Atkins is going to get out into the field of play.
So Celtic have applied a bit of pressure on this Wakefield defence. That's a good kick from Rooney. And Peake will run it back. Adam Peake returning after a 3-match absence for this Celtic side. Now here's Beasley. Budworth is on for the Crusaders to try and spark things. Ryan O'Hara.
Well, you see a lot more enthusiasm now at the dummy half position from Budworth. An experienced campaigner.
Van Dijk back on the inside for Tangata Toa.
Oh, just got to him.
Play on, says the referee. He wasn't tackled, but he's tangled now. Korkidis with the tackle. Jace Van Dijk intercepted by guess who? Brough. He's away. They won't catch him. Dyer is trying. Brough has the legs. He is back. Danny Brough gets his 6th try of the season, snatching that one out of the air and racing the length of the field, and a hammer blow for the Celtic Crusaders, and you cannot keep him down. The bad boy of the Wakefield club in the last couple of weeks, that is, an internal disciplinary problem, of course, suspended for a while, brought back today, and he comes up with that.
And full credit, because he is a clubman. He apologised quickly to his coach, John Keir, and John said you'll be playing next week against the Celtic Crusaders, and he has made his stamp on this game already. He will be loving this. He knows he's a quality player. He's a character. Yes.
That moustache gives him a look of a mid-80s player, doesn't it? Something like 1985-86 season.
Wouldn't know that period.
Kevin Dick, he looks like, the old Leeds scrum half. Kevin had a task to be proud of. I've seen some bad beards, though. I know they're all having a bit of fun with it, and good luck to them, but some shocking beards.
Danny Brough then, 3 from 3, a try as well. And can he land that one? He has from the sidelines. You cannot keep him out of the picture, Danny Brough. 24-0 Wakefield lead. Talk, of course, while all the hoo-ha was going on, of maybe a move for Brough. And John Keir delighted that his faith has been justified, immediately restoring him to his side, and that's what you get.
Yeah, really well. He knew that they were going to try for the long pass out wide, and I must say, he positions himself out there. He enjoys it. And you talk about the beards, Barry. I must say, John Keir said that they have to wear the beard until they get 20 points on the Super League table. The way they're playing now, it won't be long.
Move! Hold! Hold! Go!
Brad Drew is on for Wakefield.
2.
And he's directing operations now. There he is.
Go!
Whiskered. And so too is Tavita Leolato. He's on the field.
Having said that, I think, Barry, you sprouted a
bit
of facial hair around the chin, eh?
Yeah, but it's designer stubble.
It is, you're right. A few role models that I like to put myself again. A few goatee beards. George Michael being one of them.
Play on, Adam, get out!
Was Rabsy Nesbitt another one?
Yeah.
Kick downfield. Fielded by Luke Dyer. So Celtic Crusaders, well, if they are to get this first home win of the season, then they have got a lot of work to do. They trail by 24 points to 0 now.
1. Move!
And if they were inept last week, Wakefield have certainly been spot on. Bit of a slow start, bit of a scrappy start early on, but they've got better as the game has gone on, has this Wakefield side.
Well, the confidence has been building as he scored tries. That certainly helps. It's going to be difficult now for Celtic to try to get into this game, but they've got the penalty. They really do desperately need a score on the scoreboard before the half-time hooter.
They seem to be winning the energy battle to Wakefield. The marker defence is good. The line speed is good. A little bit too good on that occasion. The referee saying that he was actually, the players were in front of him. But just look at the energy, look at the effort, look at the work they do.
Coming up to the last 5 minutes of the first half, can Celtic get something on the board to give them a bit of a hope for the second half here? They really haven't threatened this Wakefield defence so far. Can they do so now? Lennon's pass won't. It's behind Blackwood, but Blackwood put the brakes on. Tavita Leolato clattered him. He cannoned off Leolato, but Jason Demetriou was there to pick up the pieces. Jace Van Dijk, and Van Dijk's pass goes backwards. It's picked up. And Darren Mapp gets the ball away. Beasley trying to get it out the side. Hannay gets it away, but it's gone backwards.
And he's played the knock-on as the official Ben Thaler. Well, exciting stuff from the Celtic side, but that's been classified as a knock-on.
Don't think it was that. I think it was here.
Is it this one?
Yeah.
And he's hurt himself, Jason Demetriou. He's on the floor. I said that I thought he was struggling right before the game, and he's in a lot of pain, a lot of agony. You don't see JD stay on the floor too many times, a tough character.
And not only that, the Celtic winger, Anthony Blackwood, he's received treatment out on this left-hand side. Went in awkward, didn't he? And I think Rooney gave him a real whack. Not on purpose, of course.
A good spot from the referee.
Pretty amazing career, Jason Demetriou, since he came over here and played for Lancashire Lynx back in 1999.
Paid his own way over as well, didn't he?
Here we go.
Took a punt, and it certainly has paid off because he's still here.
One. Move! Tony, come on!
Grix plays the ball, one of the try scorers in a pretty satisfying first half performance so far here for the Wakefield Trinity Wildcats. Remember, they're on a 5-game losing sequence.
No, this is 3, so.
And on the back of an embarrassing performance last time out and looking for a response. And they've got it so far, although Korkidas shakes his head in frustration at that decision.
Well, he tried to say it was reefed out, and I think I have to agree with you. I thought Delacourt had fingertip control on it. What's for Delacourt there? Oh, it's definitely reefed out.
Here we go.
Not seen by the official.
Out!
So Celtic have possession with Damien Quinn.
Oh, they've lost it.
They have lost it, and it's picked up. Stozic it is, and Stozic gets it away to Peterson. Peterson has the pace, can't go on the outside, and good defence. Great defence from Darren Mapp.
That was 1.
Regular top tackler Darren Mapp. Brad Drew, Stozic again.
2.
2 tackles gone. It's Wakefield looking to finish this first half with a flourish. The lead by 24 points to 0. Brad Drew, darting, scampering run from him, but Snitch has put that one down, put the mockers on him after singing his praises earlier on.
Nice run from Brad Drew, but I think the pass was just dipping down. No, it should have taken it. It wasn't dipping at all. Stitch.
Snitch was running into that gap, and unfortunately the pass didn't match his line, and that's why he moved his hands in the other direction. But good play from Brad Drew. That's what he gives you, variation around that ruck. When it's a scatter defence, as it was on that occasion, he's the perfect person to expose that.
Well done. Go.
And I must say he did well, didn't he, Darren Mapp, the forward, to get across there and try saving tackle.
Yeah, the tackle on Peterson averted another long-range try from this Wakefield side. O'Hara plays the ball. Jace Van Dyke, Tangata Toa. Trying to keep this ball alive and doing so. Jace Van Dyke, though, all bottled up by his opposite number, Danny Brough.
Nice quick hands, but I'm afraid they're not getting meters forward, and that's what they need.
Tavita Leo Latu has very quickly dispensed with his head guard. He came on wearing a bright blue number, whether it's got too hot in there.
There's the bomb.
Jace Van Dyke taken late by Stozic. The ball comes down for Dalcourt. Dalcourt gets the pass away. Still keeping it going is Beasley.
That'll be the turnover. Well, they went very, very close, but let's give credit for this Wakefield outfit. They got back in numbers. It was a massive kick.
I got clear.
Looked as though he's committed himself there, Korkidas.
Go back.
Certainly picked him out.
Get near them, Bills. Go. Play it.
He's a big guy to go into it.
A lead off for Wakefield there.
1. Move.
Well, the officials obviously feel that he'd committed himself. It's pretty close.
2.
Stozic.
Move. Go.
Plays that ball. First half drawing to a close, and a satisfying first half for this Wakefield side.
Go.
Tavita Leo Latu. A characteristic little skip, and he gets the ball away to Rooney. Oh, an ankle tap on Rooney from Beasley, but Rooney's back on his feet. Drew now in possession. Drew back to Rooney.
4. Move.
There's the late challenge on Jace Van Dyke. But up at the other end of the field, it's Brad Drew, and he'll round up the first half with another try for Wakefield. And they are really going to town against this Celtic side. And first of the season for Brad Drew, who's back after missing the last 2 games. And he's joining those on the score sheet with this try, and great build-up to that from this Wakefield side, who really are back in form.
What it could have been and should have been perhaps a try by the Celtic Crusaders, but full credit yet again. Back on the inside. Oh, Dimitriou, beautiful ball, wasn't it? That was sensational. And as every hooker should do, once you've passed the ball, your job's not done. You have to support back down on the inside. And that is what Drew has done. They're in full control of this game. Good work by the hooker. Can Brough add the extras?
Brough then does do that. And Wakefield head for the dressing rooms, feeling an awful lot better about life, as do those Wakefield Trinity Wildcats supporters.